Hi guys, James from DBG here, and welcome to another How I Paint Stuff video. This time we're sticking with the Blitzkrieg era of the Second World War, and we're going to be painting this chap, who is a War of Games early war SS miniature. The head is from the Plastic Grenadier set, because his head went missing. I have no idea where his head went. So yeah, and hopefully I can keep this tutorial down to a little less than that hour. So, as with before, the majority of paints I'm going to be using are Citadel. There are some Vallejo I'm going to be using as well. And I can't recommend Vallejo paints enough. They are really good quality, really good pigment, and they taste nice as well. So, without further ado, let's crack on. So, the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to try and do as much as humanly possible in each section, instead of dragging it out over bits and bobs to cut down the amount of time this is going to take. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to be layering the uniform. So we have the trousers there. They're going to be Vallejo German field grey. The camo smock there is going to be Citadel Steel Legion drab, because we're going to do the early, I think it's either oak leaf or Peter, I think it's oak leaf pattern. And then we're going to do the helmet with Vallejo's German camo dark green. So without further ado, let's crack on. Okay, so I've got everything prepared. I've got my palette just out of focus behind you, and on there I've got the two Vallejo colours, and I have the open pot of Steel Legion drab just down the side. Always remember, moisten your brush, thin your paints, and shake all your paints very well so all the pigment is evenly mixed throughout. So we're going to start with the Steel Legion drab. I don't mean that, I mean the field grey. Now Vallejo paints are, on the whole, slightly thinner than Games Workshop ones. But as we're only doing small amounts, so just the trousers there. As you can see, it's gone on quite thin. That's going to need another coat. And also, while we're doing it, because he's actually wearing a smock, we actually need to do the collar, because the smock goes over his tunic. So that's that bit done. Now we're onto the helmet. Now you just slap that all over the helmet like that. Again, it doesn't matter if it goes on the face a bit, because Bugman's Glow is quite a thick paint and will cover any mistakes very easily. And last but not least, we've got the Steel Legion drab, which is the perfect base for this type of early war smock. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to finish blocking all that in and tidying up any little splodges here and there, and then we'll get on with the doing the equipment, etc. Right, there we go, guys. Those three colours have been put down, two thin coats. What I forgot to mention was also the gas mask case there also needs to be the same colour as the helmet, which is German camo dark green. Now on to the equipment. So what we're going to do, we're going to do the rifle, we're going to do the ammunition pouches on the belt, we're going to do the boots, we're going to do his bread bag, canteen, and the strap holding the gas mask case. The colours we're going to need are Abaddon black, That's going to be for the boots, the flask on top of the canteen, also the strap going down the middle of the canteen, the ammunition pouches, any metalwork on the rifle. We'll leave the strap on the helmet for now. Then dryad bark is going to be for the woodwork of the rifle, and the leather strap holding the gas mask case. We're going to need saddle brown by Vallejo, which is going to be the actual felt covering of the bottle, the canteen there. And then the last but not least, we're going to need dark reaper for the bread bag itself. Now, a lot of people paint, and I've been guilty of this myself, paint the bread bag sort of canvas. I believe bread bags towards the end of the war were made of canvas, but at the beginning of the war there was sort of a wool or a linen, and it was dyed sort of a bluey grey. So that's the colour we're going to use. And the two brushes we're going to be using are my standard layer brush, and we're going to be using my insane detail brush because I love it. Some people may think it's a bit small, but I think it's a perfect size. Oh, and while I remember, we also need to do the leather strap round the middle of the helmet there. So without further ado, I have my paints all set out and ready. So we'll start with the saddle brown because that is the smallest, and I'll put a bit too much water on that, so and it's just a case of getting it in frame, which would be nice, James. And don't worry if you're going to bread bag, we'll do that later, we'll do that last. So now we need the dryer, so I'll get the palette out of the way. We need the dryer bark. As I said, this is for the rifle. All there like that. And the strap holding on to the gas mask case. What I didn't mention is there's actually this little pouch at the front there. That is a gas cape. That's also going to be in black, what I remember, so we'll do that right now. So the gas mask case is going to be in black, and also bits of the rifle, the workings, the bolt, etc. And then also the boots. And then last but not least, I'll come back and tidy this up, doing a bit of a Duncan Rhodes here. And then last but not least, we'll do the bread bag. So join me in a couple of minutes. Well, a couple of minutes for me, instantly for you, and we'll see what this looks like. Right, there we go. That's all the other colours blocked in: the boots, the rifle, the ammunition pouches, the bread bag, the canteen, the strap for the gas mask case, and I keep saying case, I mean case. And what I've also done is, while I was waiting for things to dry, I looked at some reference material, and the gas cape bag at the front there is actually sort of a olive drab khaki colour. So I re-base coated that with US olive drab from Vallejo. Excuse me. So last stage before the wash and all the details and stuff, which in this case will obviously make everything look a lot better, is to do the flesh. So quickly, just Bugman's Glow. Obviously you shake it, you thin it, you know the drill. And then do the face and the hands, and maybe the neck if there's any protruding. And then once that's done, we need to do the wash. So what we'll do is, I'm not going to teach you how to suck eggs. You know what bits of flesh. So we've got both hands. And the face, which will make this miniature look a lot neater and better. As you can see, there's a bit too much water in that. And I've done it again, I've knocked the camera. Did that last time. Yeah. So that's definitely going to need another coat. So we'll do that. We'll whack the wash on once it's dried. Then we'll come back and we'll start the highlighting. And there we go. There is the completely washed miniature. As you can see, it's got all the recesses and done all the good stuff that non-oil does. Now we're on to the highlight stage. So first of all, we're going to highlight the trousers and the collar. And then we'll go on to do the smock and the green parts, and then the equipment. So first of all, highlighting the trousers. You're going to need two colours for this. Obviously you need to go back over it in German field grey, and then we need to make a mix for the next highlight, which will be German field grey and a tiny touch of, I just need to check what the colour is, German camouflage, German camouflage beige. You just need the tiniest amount, just enough to make the field grey slightly lighter and pick out the creases. So, got my palette, got my little bits of paint already done. Again, remember to do the thinny, and we just want to do what we did before. Just pick out the raised areas and obviously leave the recesses. And when you've done that on the trousers, you just need to get the small amount and just run it around the top of the collar of the tunic. Then we're done. The great thing about that is it's already dry. It doesn't take that long. Then you get tiny brush full of German camo beige, mix it in with your German field grey, I know you can't see me doing this, but make sure it's nice and wet, moist, and a little bit more. And with your brush, got a nice point on it, you just want to run it along the creases. May not seem like a big difference, but get my thumb out of the way. And if it doesn't quite work out, remember, just like in the BEF one, while it's still wet, you can manipulate it with a wet brush and you can get a nice feathering effect. And then we just need to run this colour along the collar. Right, now I don't know if you can see it very well. That just gives you a nice little bit of definition on the creases. So now we're on to the smock. Okay, now on to the smock. So we're only going to need one colour for this. We're going to go back over in Steel Legion Drab. We don't want to go too heavy on the highlight with this. I wouldn't normally do Baneblade Brown over this again, but because we're going to be doing the intricate SS camouflage, there's not a lot of point in highlighting this too much. And again, we just need to pick out the raised areas again, leaving the recesses quite dark, because we're going to need that definition when we come to do the camouflage. Again, so you just get your nice point on your brush, especially when you go over this bit. Try not to get the collar that you've just done in the field grey. Just try and get all the raised areas. And it doesn't matter too much if you go a little bit off course, because it's going to get covered up with the camouflage, which I'm actually going to do last of all. So there we go. That's all you need to do. So you brought the colour back up from what the non-oil did to it. Now we're going to go on and do the dark green parts. Okay, now we're going to go on to do the helmet and the gas mask case. And this is just a simple case of taking the edge off the non-oil by running a little bit of German camo dark green around the rim of the Stahlhelm, over the top of the Stahlhelm, and just touching a few areas on the gas mask case. Not too much. Not too much. I'm actually taking too much. I've put a bit too much there. It's alright, because you can use your brush just to move it around, so it's not really doing anything. Then take a little bit of your German field grey, mix it in with that to make a slightly lighter colour. We can do a slight highlight around the edge of the helmet, on top of the helmet, and around the edge of the gas mask case. I know it's not dry yet, but you'll get the impression when it's finally dried. So after that, we're going to do the leather and wood bits. Okay, now it's time for the leather and wood bits. Now, if you turn this guy around, what the non-oil has done to the water canteen is exactly what we need. So we don't need any more highlighting on that whatsoever. So all we need to do is the strap around the helmet the strap around the shoulder for the leather, and then for the wood we just need to do what we did with the Lee Enfield in the previous tutorial. But let's start with dryad bark. So just need to relayer in with the dryad bark. Again, don't worry too much if you go over, because you've still got the paint on the palette from the previous step. And then you just relayer in where the wood is there. That's the dryad bark bit done. Now we're off to the Mournfang brown. So again, just steady hand, run it along the shoulder strap, and around the helmet. I've made a big mistake there, but that's fine. Let it dry. In fact, I've still got a wet brush. Not too bad, but I'll tidy that up in a sec. And then with the rifle, just do it in all the raised areas or where there's gaps where you want the detail to show. And last but not least, scrag brown. This is purely for the rifle. To get, oh, I've got loose hair. So you just need it to give you that definition along the rifle, because most of the rifles, again, if you think you've done too much, you can just give it a quick wipe with your thumb. As I say, most rifles of the period had quite a bright wood effect on them. So yeah, so there's the rifle done. Okay, with the rifle done, we now need to do the last bits of the equipment. So there'll be the black leather, which is the boots, the belt, the ammo pouches, the gas cape pouch, and the bread bag. So we're going to start with the gas cape pouch because that's the smallest and easiest. Just need the tiniest amount of US olive drab and just do a little bit of redefining of the shape. That's it, that's all you need. Then with the bread bag, again it's the same sort of thing. So you just pick out the creases,
Hello, Bob Patron. How are you today?
If you can hear that, that's my younger son coming from school. So that's that. And last but not least, we need to highlight the ammo pouches and black leather bits such as boots. This is Eshin Grey. So we need to do that strap that goes round the canteen, and then the boots. There's a seam that goes down the back. There's creases you can just pick out. Run a little bit along the top of the boots. And again, it doesn't matter too much if you go a little bit too off with this, because once you do the base, it won't be as noticeable. So there you go. That's that all done. So now the last things we need to do are any metallics and any flesh. Then we're on to the camouflage. So join me in a sec. So last but not least, it's the flesh and metallics. So I'm going to start with metallics. So we're going to be using lead belcher, and like before, it's just going to be exactly the same as Lee Enfield. You don't want too much. Just want a suggestion that there's metal on there. That's more than enough. And on the back canteen, sometimes was bare metal, sometimes was painted the same colour as the helmet. So that's that bit done. So now we're on to the flesh. This is going to be exactly the same as the previous one. So we just need to go back over with Bugman's Glow, because the head is plastic. There's a little less definition because it's an older kit. The hands, you see, got a bit more definition back there. Now, Cadian flesh tone. So it's exactly the same before. So along the nose, cheekbones, top lip, bottom lip. I wish my camera would just focus for a change. And then the hands, you can just drag the brush over the fingers and it gives you a nice effect. And then thumb. And last but not least, Kislev flesh. This is just for the final highlight on the nose, cheekbones, lips. Along the hand, top of the hand, fingers, and thumb. It's not too bad. I've definitely done better, and I've definitely just made that worse. Right, as you can see, the face is finished. Did a bit of tidying up off camera. I've done the mouth, eyes and chin strap, again off camera. mainly because I just forgot to press record. Simple as. But now, it's time to do what some people would say is a tricky part, and that is the SS camouflage. The easiest way to do this, I found, is just to freehand it on. Pete the Wargamer did a bit where he used the sponge technique. So you rip off a piece of sponge from a blister pack, dip it into the paint, dab it on. But that's a bit random for me. I prefer making it look slightly realistic. But you're going to need 4 colours for this. You're going to need Abaddon Black, Scrag Brown, Ushabti Bone, and from Vallejo, Luftwaffe Camo Green. I'm going to start with Abaddon Black, and we just want patches all over the smock. Try and keep these patches away from any leather work because they'll just blend in. So just patches. You don't need to be neat. You just need to make sure you've got a nice selection of patches around that you can add to. Just take that one under the arm, and we'll do a little bit round by the hand. That's what it really needs. So that's the black done. Now we need the green. Now the green, we want, again, random patches, but we want it sort of adjacent to the black. Again, you don't need to worry if you think you've done a patch too big or too small. You just need nice distribution of these coloured patches. And these are the places where you can just dab a bit next to the black so they don't really run into each other. Okay, so I think that about does it. I'm just going to bring that patch down here a bit. There you go. Right, that's the green done. Now we're on to the fun bit. You have to join me in a second for that because I've got to let these 2 colours dry first. Right, as you can see, the black and the green are dry. We now need to go back in with the last 2 accent colours. Now this is more controlled. You need to put smaller blotches and dots and wiggles and what have you just so. So it's things like this people think well, I don't think, they assume that SS camouflage is difficult. It's not difficult. What it is a little bit fiddly, a little bit time consuming. That's all it is. And the great thing about this stuff is, if you make a mistake, you can cover it up with the next camouflage colour. Or if you think you make a mistake, with stuff like this, P dot or oak leaf, it is, whoa, focus, it is entirely up to you how much or how little you do. So that is the Scrag Brown. I'm actually going to do a couple more patches there and there. That's the Scrag Brown. We just got one more to do, which is the Ushabti Bone. This one is more random still. This one we just literally little dots and dags everywhere. Well, everywhere is a bit of exaggeration, but this is the colour that sort of ties it in. So to speak. So that's the sort of thing you want. And if you see a little bit of add a couple of dots here and there if you think you may need it. While we've got the Ushabti bone out, there's some column tabs that need doing. There you go. And that's it. That's your guy done. That is your early war SS infantryman. For bolt action. So as usual guys, please look at all the links and stuff in the description, click them if you like, if you don't, not an issue. Sponsors, affiliates, Patreon, etc, 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 and all the social media links and everything as well. Obviously this is my second one. I'm still learning how to do this. I'm still learning how to paint through a lens, which is very different to just normally painting. I personally feel that I can improve immensely. These miniatures are not as good as I can do when I'm actually looking at them directly. Maybe you think different. Again, all constructive criticism is welcome. And as usual, thank you guys for watching. Stay safe, and I'll catch you next time.